Hey everybody, I'm Pastor Bill from Open Door Baptist Church in Morehead City, and thanks for coming back for another word of encouragement. These are weekday videos that we put out in order to guide us through the E100 Bible reading plan right now, a plan that our church is participating in, walking through together. I hope that you're joining us, and if you are, that brings us up to the end of the book of Acts, which so far has probably been the longest stay in any one book that we've had here. More passages from the book of Acts probably than any other book so far. And toward the end of the book of Acts, Luke really slows down the narrative because of the action and excitement that's happening here toward the end. Paul being rescued from assassination attempts, Paul being whisked away in the middle of the night and taken to another city by a Roman cohort of soldiers. Paul standing before kings and Roman officials, giving this great gospel message of how the gospel has changed his life and what this means about Jesus Christ. Paul being put on a ship, shipwrecked, bad weather, storms, tempests at sea, and finally being thrown into the sea and finding their way onto the island of Malta, where he only escapes the sea to be bitten by a poisonous snake, and yet he survives, and so the natives try to even worship him as a god. Well, then we leave the island of Malta. Luke tells us this in Acts chapter 28, verse 11. After 3 months, we set sail in an Alexandrian ship that had wintered in the island. And then, somewhat anticlimactically, in verse 14, we read these words, "And so we came to Rome." He continues, "Now the believers from there had heard the news about us and had come to meet us as far as the Forum of Appius and the Three Taverns. And when Paul saw them, he thanked God and took courage. And when we entered Rome, Paul was permitted to stay by himself and with the soldier who guarded him." Well, so much excitement, so much adventure, so many ups and a lot of downs that get him to Rome. But the highlight of encouragement, this is a word of encouragement. The highlight of encouragement that I want to make out of this passage is that when the apostle, when the missionary, when the pastor Paul saw the believers in Rome, he thanked God and took courage. He finally himself was encouraged by the believers at Rome, by seeing them, by hearing from them. And so really, maybe I want to ask this question to you today. Is your pastor encouraged when he sees you? Maybe on a Sunday morning when you're walking toward him, do you think that your pastor says, "Oh, I'm so encouraged. Here comes John. Here comes Mary. And this just helps me to take courage for the sermon that I'm about to preach. Maybe for the visiting that I'm going to do in the hospital tomorrow. When I see Harry come towards me, I am encouraged and I thank God." Is that you? Do you think that that's how your pastor feels when he sees you coming toward them? And if not, is that something that you could change over time by encouraging your pastor? Give your pastor a word of encouragement this week. Well, I hope that you will tune in tomorrow for another word of encouragement.